Welcome to Panels and Borders. I'm Dominic, and this is another episode of Comic Covers. Now, I recently did a video about the Sectors, and I wanted to do another video about another toy line from the 80s that tried to cash in on the whole fantasy thing that was really big because of Masters of the Universe. And that toy line I wanted to talk about was Crystar, Crystal Warrior. Now, this was kind of an interesting toy line because all the good guys were like these glass, like translucent looking toys. And so they kind of had this really neat look to them. And the other thing, they weren't big like a Masters of the Universe figure. They were smaller. They were probably about the size of a, G.I. Joe or Star Wars figure. And they came with some cool weapons and things like that. And this toy right here, actually, I had this one when I was a kid. And I never called him Crystar, though. I always just called him Crystal Man. So, but it didn't last long. This toy line, died out very quickly. I don't remember seeing them in stores for very long. I only had a couple characters from this toy line. And I had this guy, and the other one I had was this wizard right here. He came with some pretty cool looking weapons, and he came with this weird, like, crystal looking, almost looks like a magnifying glass. I can't remember exactly what this did, the crystal thing, or what it was supposed to do. Now, these figures were made by a company called Remco, and I'm not sure. I don't think Remco's around anymore. I'm not sure about that. But anyway, the reason I bought this wizard character was because he looked a lot like another wizard character from a movie that was pretty popular it wasn't a popular movie, but it was a movie that was played a lot on First Choice, and as a kid I really liked it. And so I bought this wizard character because he looked a lot like this wizard right here. And this wizard is from the movie Crawl. So that was my reasoning behind buying that wizard figure. So I only had the two figures, the catapult set and the wizard, and they died out of the stores pretty fast. But like all 80s toys, they had a Marvel Comics tie-in, and it, of course, it had some really cool covers for those comics. And so the comic that I'm going to talk about this week is The Saga of Crystar, Crystal Warrior, number 1, May 1984. Cover art, Bob Larkin. Writer, Mary Jo Duffy. Pencils, Brett Blevins. And this is the cover right here. Now, this artist has done a lot of fantasy artwork over the years, and he's a really good artist, and I like his artwork. And this cover here is just amazing. And they actually use some of these images for the card backs for the figures as well. And the wizard in the background, he looks like he's blind. So another link, the wizard from Crawl was blind too, so it's like an interesting parallel between the two. But I really enjoyed these covers like this that were painted back in the day. They looked really good, and just gave the whole thing like a larger than life feel. And they had quite a few of these painted covers, the Crystar comics. And so I bought this cover at a back issue store. I was just digging through some comics and just came across this one randomly. And it's one of those comics, I just bought it purely for the cover. I don't think these are worth anything. I only paid like a couple bucks for it. And but it's cool to look at, and it's kind of a cool cover to have in your collection. And it would be something cool to have framed and put on the wall, in my opinion, because it's a pretty good painting and it looks pretty awesome. And it's an interesting piece of art from the 80s that captures that time when all these different toy companies were putting out all these crazy different toys, all these action figures, something that you do not see happening today. You go to the toy store, Walmart, and there's nothing in there. You go to Toys R Us, same thing. It's all Lego, Transformers, superheroes, and G.I. Joe and Star Wars and stuff like that. So, but back in the day, you had all these like crazy figures you could pick from, so you never know what you were going to see when you went to the toy store. And so this was a product of that time, and it was all just to sell toys, all just to make money. But boy, it was a lot of fun in the process. So that's everything I've got to say about this comic and this cover. Let me know what you think of it in the comments section. And if you like this video, subscribe, and I will see you at the next one.